What Kafka really represents is the cheesy, over-dramatic, idealized Shonen Jump character in all of us. Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today we are going to be taking a spoiler-free look at Kaiju number 8, chapter 108. 108 chapters into this manga, and Matsumoto has displayed once again what a master he is of building the big climactic moments only out of elements that he has already introduced in the story. I'm looking at everything that's tying into this chapter, and it's things from the critical elements are from chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 65, dozens or literally 100 chapters back, and it's all coming to a perfectly logical head in this chapter. And in this chapter, we get this glorious 2-page spread, and just this. Okay, no spoilers. It's going to be hard to keep this spoiler free, but in this chapter, we've been building up to this big climactic fight between Kaiju number 8 and Kaiju number 9. And one of Matsumoto's strengths is that Matsumoto is clearly letting the story be guided not by where he wants the story to go, nearly so much as who the characters are. We've learned a lot about Kaiju number 9. We learned that who Kaiju number 9 is informed by this burning curiosity about humans and all of the humans that Kaiju number 9 has absorbed. Kaiju is one of those monsters. The traditional thing was magicians and sorcerers would gather various poisonous insects, put them all in a jar, and the last surviving insect that crawled out of the jar was supposed to have magically absorbed the properties of everything that was fought. And there was a name for it. They introduced the name in Inuyasha, but I can't remember it. So Kaiju number 9 is an amalgamation of everything that's come before. He's a large part Director General Iso Shinomiya. That's who we've seen Kaiju number 8 really been fighting up to this point. He's part Kaiju number 2. And we see all of that in this battle. But the story, this chapter, is really about who Kafka is. And Kafka is this cheesy middle-aged man. He's got very little gravitas. He's got very little cool factor. He really does represent that classic trope, everyman. He is a character who you can really sympathize with. And Matsumoto has introduced that very well. We see he's got a responsible, successful, low-level job. He's a trash collector. He's a construction worker. He's every blue-collar guy who wanted to serve in the military but couldn't because he had a bad heart. He's every blue-collar woman who wanted to be the CEO but discovers that she has talents in other directions and she just doesn't have that drive or some necessary talent to achieve that goal, who finds meaning in other parts of life. He's that guy who washed out but gathered himself up in his 30s, stood up in his 30s and realized, you know what? My life's not over. I can still go. And there were so many elements that led into that. And the very first flashback we see little Kafka and little Mina sitting together, studying hard. In the anime, they're reviewing the fact that you have to take out the legs of a kaiju to pin it down, and Kafka pats her on the head and promises to always be there by her side to protect her. And Mina turns around and laughs at him. She mimics him and says, "Oh my goodness, you've been reading too much manga." And that is a large element of Kafka's personality. He has been influenced by these idealized dreams that show up in the stories we tell to children. And I think so many of us, if you're a part of this fandom, if you're still reading Shonen Jump manga at the age you have to be to truly appreciate Kafka, I think that yes, it was a fundamental aspect of our characters growing up that we clung to these stories of heroics, that we clung to the dramatics, that there is a soft spot in all of us, even as we understood that it was cheesy, that it was corny. We like the cheese. We like the corn. We like movies like Battleship and Pacific Rim. Stories where the heroes are heroic and the power of friendship wins in the end. That's who Kafka is, and that's why he resonates so hard with all of us middle-aged fans. He takes that and he personifies it, and he moves forward as a productive member of society, even cherishing these very childish concepts of honor and friendship and duty. I said duty. And that is just such a profound element of what makes this story so popular. There are other things. There are costs to your body. I've got a good hip and a bad hip, and I've got injuries from stupid stuff I did as a kid. And as you get older, those costs start to tell. And as Kafka has advanced towards achieving his goals, the sacrifices that he has made, the stupid decisions that he has made, is costing his body more and more. And that comes up in this chapter. And that element of Kafka and Mina's relationship, where she is cheerfully acknowledging that he's cheesy. She's laughing at him, but that's okay because he wants her to laugh at him. That little smile she cracked at the reception ceremony when he'd gotten too cheesy and had called her out by name and had to do 50 push-ups. Kafka is not the ultimate hero. He's not the suave James Bond who always knows what to say and when to say it. He's not the king who everybody takes seriously all the time. He's far more the court jester, but he is heroic. He is contributing to society. He is fulfilling his dreams, but he's doing it while retaining that childlike sense of fun and play and bringing joy to everyone around him. And that concept that you can achieve your goals while still understanding that there's a part of you that will still be a child and that child can still come out to play is what makes Kafka such an engaging character to so many of us. It doesn't feel like James Bond or Captain America or Sir Galahad. He's just like us. He finds himself as a middle-aged adult, but he still feels like a child who's been given too much responsibility and is just taking it for the first time. In this chapter, Matsumoto showed that he is not ashamed of his roots. He is not ashamed to be a Shonen Jump creator. Yes, he understands that the material is inherently cheesy, but he plays it straight, and I felt things in this chapter. I felt terror. I felt dread. I felt smug satisfaction, and I felt joy, and I felt all of these intense adult emotions even as I was laughing through it all, because Kafka is cheesy. Kafka says things that only a child would say seriously. And he says them without a hint of irony. And that's what we love about him. He is a man-child in the best sense of the word. He is a childlike man. What about you, my wonderful viewers? Did any one of those big major scenes, either the dread or the smugness or the joy, did it make you feel some kind of way? Tell me about it in the comments below. I love the conversation and discussion. I love to know how these things made you feel, and that's what comments are for. Hit that like and subscribe button, and peace out, my wonderful viewers.
Drake McCarty's leg was shattered, deep in the wilderness. As the flash flood closed over him, something alien pulled him from the waters. A military base that shouldn't exist. An ancient warrior with secrets of his own. Drake returns to his family with a whole leg and the burden of a secret he doesn't understand. In the forest around them, someone is watching, and something followed him home. Flying Sparks. 90,000 words of science fantasy adventure. The first novel in the Dying Embers universe is now available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo by Rakuten, Google Play Books, and from the author as a signed copy. Get your copy now and step into a world where dragons walk the forest, aliens lurk on the mountain, and things go boomp in the night.
Escape into another world with the writings of author Betty Adams. Two worlds, one of utter absurdity, one of dramatic tension, both alike in aliens absolutely astounded by human behavior. Humans are weird, short, absurd science fiction stories. Flying sparks, dragons, aliens, and things that go boomp in the night.
Books available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo by Rakuten, Google Play Books, and at authorbettyadams.com for a signed copy.